Hey everyone, we're back again. Ctrl+Alt+Debate due to popular demand. Yeah, I know, everyone wants to see us, right? I mean, best debate on the internet. Right, buddy?
You alright, dude?
Yeah, it's good to be here again. Another episode, this one entitled Insert Coin to Rage. Yeah, we know what's going to be on this. Lots of raging, lots of angry people. To be fair, I think most of the angriness is going to be based on pretty founded, situational stuff that actually makes sense. But we'll get into all of that. Let's just quickly go over what we've got in this upcoming podcast. A quick episodic overview. We've got DLC. Now, we mentioned it briefly in the last podcast. DLC, the good, the bad, and the greedy. I think we'll be analysing, DLC since it came out and looking at the reasons why, the pros and the cons. Then we'll be looking at game bites, fun facts to feed all you gamers, and we'll be looking at interesting game facts and their effects in general, and what our takes are on that. Thirdly, we'll have Insert Coin to Continue, gaming memories that shaped us, so where me and Kraken will be looking back on some of our personal gaming experiences, some anecdotes, and what we loved. Huh?
Time to reminisce.
Yeah, reminisce on some good times. Oh yeah, also just obviously you can notice we might have changed our look of our stream a bit more. We've added a bit of movement. Kraken thinks we look like South Park.
Bit of bounciness.
Yeah, we look like Cartman out of South Park now, apparently.
Well, no, the Canadians.
Yeah. Anyway, the last two segments is Roll for Loot, the Gacha gambling on mobiles predominantly that you see this, but yeah, we'll be diving into Gacha. Yeah, this will be an interesting one because I actually play a Gacha game, and one that Kraken played with me recently until he just fucked it off. So we'll be diving into Gacha games and all that stuff. And finally, the one that I'm most looking forward to is Backseat Gamers Agree to Disagree. We'll be looking at some of gaming's most controversial takes and what we think about them. So yeah, I'm your host Gar as usual, and as obviously here, I'm with my good buddy Kraken, and we're going to be coming at you again with another great episode. Hope you enjoy it. So yeah, let's dive straight into to today's first segment. DLC, the good, the bad, and the greedy. So a quick overview. We're going to look at DLC, where did it come from? It's quite crazy to think about this. I did a little bit of research, and I was just DLC date back to 1980s, where games content was distributed via floppy disk. Obviously, I remember floppy disks, but I didn't know that you could get a download or get expansions from that. I mean, I don't remember it. I was too young. What's your experience on that? Do you remember?
To be fair, I remember late 80s, early 90s, where we had PC magazines that had floppy disks on the front, that had all sorts of random, weird and wonderful programs or little games and whatnot. They were always quite fun. But Jesus, early 80s, that's, yeah, before the age of the internet completely, Christ.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I don't remember really DLC becoming a thing until well into 2000s. Before it became mainstream. There was something called the Sega Channel in 1994. I don't remember this at all, which was a subscription-based service that allowed players to download games via cable TV. That's insane.
Yeah, so to be fair, that was possibly the US only, because we didn't have cable over here. So it would have been Sky TV for us was the first kind of big expansion on normal television.
Yeah. I mean, I don't recall it at all. To be quite honest, I don't remember the situation. I remember having games that you could plug into your TV that were I had a light gun game where you plugged something onto the television. It was a suction pad in the corner of the TV. Yeah. Action Max.
Duck Hunt.
No, it was Action.
Duck Hunt.
Well, Duck Hunt.
I mean that was fun as well. So
yeah. And then we'll obviously the modern era nowadays, once broadband became a thing in the early 2000s, that's really when I remember DLC transitioning massively on the scene, becoming a major part of gaming culture and stuff. So, it's come a long way, and over time it's evolved into something that's become really just part of of what we experience in gaming on pretty much every game that we have. So let's have a look at the discussion points on the good, the bad, and the greedy, as we've named it. So the good points, let's look at the first couple of discussion points. Expansion packs, can't speak today. Expansion packs that add genuine value. So obviously, like things like Elden Ring's expansion as an example. I mean, we played that together. The expansion was amazing as well. Had a lot of content on it. What do you think about?
I think to be honest, I think as long as DLCs like expand the game world in some kind of meaningful manner, and it's not just repackaged existing content from the internal games library of objects and textures, whatever, then it's a fair thing. It can enrich the game, it can enrich the experience and make it last longer. But sometimes some of these companies, they just do the cash grab, don't they? I mean, it's rare to get games like Elden Ring that will literally give you like a humongous extra expansion zone that you can play that can add tens if not hundreds of hours worth of additional gameplay, and it's the same price as what some games charge for, I don't know, some armor skins, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, like you said, DLC really should be just like an expansion on a game that's not, as long as it's not like preconceived. Like the preconception of adding content is what I have a real problem with. Having something done already, and it's just like, well, it should be included
like
in the game.
Day one release, day one stuff, like we were talking about. That is terrible.
Yeah, day one.
You could have packaged that in the main game, and especially if you, let's say, release DLCs of extra armor packs as a pack, and yet all the armors that are in the game look completely subpar. It's deliberate as all hell, isn't it? I mean, it's trying to drum up this extra bit of income from the game, which is understandable, but at least make the base game worthy of play without those pieces. Yes, have something that can bring something in, but you don't try and drill in everyone's the FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Yeah,
you don't want to do that to all your players, otherwise people just get bored of it, don't they? If it happens in every single one of your games, you will lose customers as a games developer.
Totally agree. I mean, the FOMO aspect, I think, is part of the marketing scheme, isn't it, of any DLC or anything that's being sold. Don't miss out, and that also plays into the pay to win aspect of DLC. Or if you get this, you're gonna be beating everyone. And it's on a special offer, only 50% off for the weekend, and then it's full price again. They've got all those marketing schemes down with DLC as well, or anything that involves microtransactions.
Purchasable beasts with an arc, Survival Ascended is one of my biggest hates.
Oh yeah, so what's that? Explain a bit.
Well, they added literally like a cat, effectively like a lion that can set itself on fire and burn enemies around it. You also have this floating turtle that can resurrect one of your dinos once a day. Now these are purchasable dinosaurs or monsters within the game. In a game that has PvP, these in the PvP mode at the very least, they should all be enabled, because otherwise you are pay to win. Simple as that. Like if someone takes out your Giga, who's max level, max breeding stats and whatever, you may be able to replace it with another bred one, but this person can pop it in the Oasis Turtle's back piece and it can be reborn. I mean, it's a bit of a joke. Like, you can't sort of sell a game as a PvP kind of centric title, which, to be fair, it is. The majority of people play it as a PvP title, and then have stuff like that in it. It's terrible. Absolutely disgusting behavior.
Yeah, but it's those sort of things, unfortunately, as we mentioned, this is part of happening, especially microtransactions. Is just like, microtransactions I don't actually have a problem with, because it doesn't give you most of the time a benefit over other people, but there is like the predatory aspect of it that is often overlooked.
100%.
Taking into account the fact that people want to buy it, and it's almost, again, going back to the FOMO thing, it's a mixture of FOMO, marketing schemes to ensure that people buy microtransactions that are aimed at giving you some sort of, oh look, you want to look cool doing this, or this will give you some sort of, you know, short-term benefit or something, you know, without being pay to win, or some degree of pay to win. That's not, you know, there's varying degrees, because you can get things that give you like experience bonuses. Some people would consider that pay to win, and some people wouldn't. I mean, that's an ongoing.
I think sometimes they shoot themselves in the foot though as well, because if you do make, let's say, if we're just calling on the armor thing again, if you make the armors inside the game seem kind of dull, and the only option is buying ridiculously cool looking armors in the shop, then effectively some people can get bored of having just the best looking armor because they've paid for it, and so they sort of don't play the game as much. So the roundabout sort of pitfall of having that is you created something that, yes, gives you short-term cash influx, but at the same time will probably diminish the amount of time that player will continue playing the game. And whilst they can continually release more and more armors, you're kind of at a point where either you've got to continue to make them look better, which is, you know, down to the person whether they like it or not, or you're going to lose those people.
Yeah,
they'll get bored playing as the same thing for hundreds of hours, aren't they? So yeah, and it's bad for both sides, I think.
Yeah, but you know, DLC is one of those things, though, I think is a necessity. I do still feel it's a necessity in the industry, and it's nice to extend games beyond their original reach. You know, yeah, I like
as
that.
Long as it's done correctly.
Yeah, I think again as well, if it's implemented well, like Elden Ring, like From Software, I know like I'm a massive fanboy of their content, but you know, they've never really stepped the wrong foot when it comes to that. Their DLCs are normally actually just fully like content that's just like a standalone in its own respect.
To be fair, as someone who wasn't a diehard fan, because I don't like just continuously dying and not making progress in a game, I thought Elden Ring was fantastic.
Yeah,
it was a phenomenal game, and what kept me playing was, you know, the look of it, and the DLC has just added like this whole massive new aspect to it. So they're the perfect example of someone who's done it correctly. You bring something new to the table. That's what counts.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
We'll see how much you like From Software, buddy, when we get you on Sekiro. Yeah. That's something for any you viewers to look forward to. Is we're thinking of doing some side content which will involve Kraken playing Sekiro while I basically take the piss out of him for how many hours. So trust me, trust me, it's going to be entertaining. So look forward to that. I think that we can wrap up the DLC section there, though. I think we've said everything that needs to be said. So we can move on to our next segment, which is Game Bites, which is basically we're going to look at you know, some facts of some gaming facts in general, and then discuss, you know, what we think about them. They're going to be kind of like all over the place, and going to be looking at a variety of facts that myself and Kraken picked out that we think are interesting points in gaming culture, and you know, how they impacted us in our own way, as well as you know, the industry as a whole. So let's jump straight into that to this and look at the first fact that we've got on, which is Grand Theft Auto 5. You know, it's grossed over $6 billion since its 2013 release, which is, you know, it's like 12 years ago. It's a long time ago. I remember getting it, making it one of the highest grossing entertainment products ever. So I think really GTA is something that every gamer in the world, anyone that's into gaming, has either heard of, played it, or you know, some variation of either or. But Grand Theft Auto, thoughts on it? What's your experience with Grand Theft Auto, Kraken?
I mean, Christ, we started playing GTA way back when it was the top-down, you know, GTA 1, GTA London. I mean, as GTA 5 being $6 billion of earnings, like that length of time, you've got to try and keep things fresh. And obviously, Rockstar have a knack for figuring out what people want to keep them there. And so, yeah, they've done a pretty damn good job. The base game with the story mode is brilliant, but I think a lot of the online stuff is probably what keeps a lot of people playing, because it's you know, a bit of a sandbox sort of stuff, isn't it? You can make tracks and like special racing tracks and whatnot, custom characters, mods, and there's all sorts.
Yeah, GTA 5 is definitely, you know, it's got the massive sprawling city and storyline and all that kind of stuff. It was, I mean, I must admit, I haven't played it for a good many years, but I remember like Trevor. I remember Trevor was like my favorite character. He was like an absolute nutcase. And he was a pilot as well, which made it like even funnier, because I remember like some of the missions where you have to like get in a biplane and you're like doing death-defying stunts, and it fit in so well with his character, because he was just like sort of like this nutcase from like a trailer park, which is just a great storyline. But I remember playing it, and it was funny because they always took, like, the great thing about Rockstar as a company, they always take like really obvious stereotypes and then like massively satirize them, which is just great. It's really fun. The older games, obviously I think it was developed by, I mean, I'm actually guessing here, so if I'm slightly wrong, it's just me not recalling anything, but I think it was developed by Rockstar North, the original game, Grand Theft Autos, and I think it was like, I remember it was run in some Scottish office, people doing testing on it and stuff like that. I remember seeing a video about that on the early versions. But it's come a long way, you know, and it's slowly built its way into the gaming culture, and now it's just like, it's enormous. I mean, the hype for Grand Theft Auto 6 is insane. You know, people are literally frothing at the mouth waiting for that to come out.
Yeah. I mean, the first GTA, dude, it was one of the ones that pretty much paved the way for the expansion or the increase in popularity of sandbox style games. And what was it? There was another one. Was it called Midwinter or something? And it was a similar kind of game, but that was a bit earlier. But GTA was the one that brought it to the masses. I mean, when was it first out? It was on PlayStation 1, wasn't it?
I think yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna be like jumping. I mean, I remember playing it on PS1, so yeah, but I don't remember where it came from. I don't remember if it was on PC before that or some variation. Obviously I just know that now it's like way bigger than anything else in the industry, really. I think GTA is probably the biggest, most well-known game. I mean, unless maybe Call of Duty is probably up there as well. One of the between those two are like really well known. Because it just appeals to such a wide demographic of player, because of the fact it's like it's a simulation. It's got driving, it's got action, it's got shooting, it's got like storyline, it's got humor, it's got like everything, yeah. So I think the cultural impact, it's become more than just a game in the zeitgeist. It's become like culturally part of.
Gamers want freedom.
Yeah.
Gamers want freedom.
Well, it's open world, yeah. So it's got all it.
Perfect fit. Yeah.
Ticks a lot of boxes. So yeah, that's interesting take on that, and obviously anyone out there that's listening, I'm sure you're excited for GTA 6 as much as well. I certainly am looking forward to it. Are you looking forward to it? Are you going to be playing GTA 6, Kraken?
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
oh, yeah?
100%. Yeah.
Awesome. So
and it looks fantastic. So I might need to buy a supercomputer to be able to play it properly.
Yeah, I would probably rag a bit. I don't know if you guys know out there, but obviously Kraken's like a PC player, and I'm a console player. So I always like I like the convenience of picking up and playing my PS5, or PS5 Pro now. But I used to be a big PC head. But yeah, just so you guys have context for any future discussions between us. All right, well, let's move on to fact 2, which of course is an Elden Ring fact, because I love Elden Ring, and so does Kraken now. He's a big fan. 12 million copies sold within weeks of release. It sold over 12 million copies in just a few weeks following its release in 2022. Now, this is a massive big deal, because 12 million in a couple of weeks is craziness. Doesn't surprise me. Elden Ring was a breakaway, I think, from I don't know what I'm doing, but from software. So obviously it was, I think, obviously Dark Souls, Demon Souls, these sort of games that came out that I personally love. It was popular, but it was a niche title. But Elden Ring really broke it out of its shell, and I think I'm gonna have Kraken talk here, because he really is a prime example of someone that was not really a Souls or From Software fan until Elden Ring. So. Give your opinion on Elden Ring when what your views on it.
I mean, to be honest, I only played the earlier ones very briefly, mostly because I'd get stuck on a boss and get so frustrated I just couldn't be asked to go back to it. But as someone that was kind of royally pissed off by the previous titles, like a lot of gamers were, I think, but mostly for reasons just difficulty-wise, was just Elden Ring looked like so much more. I mean, aside from its amazing kind of ad campaign on the lead up, like it looked stunning. At the time, I had no idea that was it George R. R. Martin was involved, and I didn't really care either way because, let's be honest, no one liked the end of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, no one did. I was like raging at the end of Game.
So
don't get me started on the Game of Thrones ending. God damn.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like the difficulty and rewards, I think, in Elden Ring just felt so much more satisfying than the previous titles. And yeah, the previous ones you had more punishment, and that has its target audience of people who enjoy a bit of pain, emotional pain.
Yeah, me.
But yeah, exactly. Like, Jesus Christ, have you not like platinum every single one?
Yeah, I have. I think I've, all of them, yeah, including Bloodborne and Sekiro as well.
Jesus, yeah, dude, that is insanity to me. I just couldn't do that. I don't have the patience or apparently the mental calmness.
Yeah, well, that's why we're doing it as content, man.
Yeah,
to basically take advantage of Kraken's mental instability.
Yeah, well, but to be fair, like Elden Ring kind of brings in a bit more of that open world as well, and that I love. Like in gaming, like the bigger the better for me. The more freedom I have to mess about in an open area, the better. And having that map the map's enormous.
It's insane.
Are enormous. Like, Jesus, yeah, it's brilliant. And then you got the weapon system that I found really cool. The design of the weapons and the armor, like, yeah, some of the armors, let's be honest, do look kind of ridiculous, but they're fun. And it still builds and brings something to the title. I mean, From Software in this one have absolutely knocked it out of the park, even for me, as someone who what was the name of that general up in the was it the north?
Oh no.
His ring. Oh my god.
Oh, I remember us playing that, and
yeah,
I think
you heard me. Oh
yeah, but I think we were there for like a couple of days, several sessions of us doing it, and it was like really frustrating because we, to be fair though, I don't think we were very powered up. We'd gone in there way too early, but it was still hilarious.
Only a couple of hours of attempts at each time, but we did get it in the end.
Yeah, we got it done. But yeah, my view on Elden Ring, I think it's a bit going to be very biased because I was obsessed with everything from Software, and Elden Ring was like, I think Elden Ring is possibly, it's difficult. Sekiro is probably my favorite game from them, but Elden Ring is a masterpiece, like across the board in terms of just everything about it. It's fair enough that it can allow like less skilled players to take part in the game, but it's also difficult enough that like veterans that want to solo, some of it is very, very difficult if you want to do it in a solo experience. So it appeals to quite a massive demographic. Also, as you said, it's got an immensely huge open world that's filled with mystery and intrigue and exciting. Like,
it looked gorgeous. You can't overstress that. It looks absolutely gorgeous. Like the world itself was amazingly crafted.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the same as well with like the likes of I used to call it Hogwarts. Do you remember I forgot what it's called now. I can't remember the name of it because I haven't played Elden Ring for a while. But it was the one with that crazy like boss that's in the room that summons all the little like it was like I can't remember her name.
I know the one you're talking about.
But
it was the one in the middle of the lake, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in the middle, like Liurnia Lake. I remember that was the name of the place, but I can't remember the name of the place. If anyone remembers it in chat, feel free to write it, so that I can. I mean, probably not going to do it in live chat. Someone's going to like write it in the comments, like in 2 weeks from now. I'll be like, thanks, man, for the. I will respond, even if it's like 3 weeks from now. I'll still be like, cheers, because I probably won't go away and look at it. But anyway, I just called it Hogwarts because it looked like Hogwarts. So but I mean,
you're not the only one. A few people to call it that.
It's just a great game. I did the expansion as well. You didn't do it actually, but you should do it at some point because it's amazing.
Radahn. The only reason I haven't jumped into the expansion properly. I've watched a lot of videos on it, but it's purely what people were saying initially about how hard the boss is that you need to clear in order to get into the expansion. That's the
Yeah,
only reason I haven't had time or the stress levels to be able to deal with that. So
to be fair, the
I
expansion
will at some point.
did go hard. Like it was. I remember going in there and going, whoa! Like they've just like basically got rid of like any of the noobs that were like enjoying the original, and they've just gone, yeah, no, we're just gonna tear you a new one now. Yeah, it was very hard. The last boss especially.
I'll just step out of the room.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, let's wrap up the Elden Ring one and move on to the next fact that we've got, which is we're going back in time now to 1993. Doom pioneering a LAN multiplayer option. The original Doom provided one of the first local area network plays, changing the way people experienced gaming from that point onwards. Obviously, the LAN gaming has been huge in the industry up to a certain point. I think nowadays it's less popular because of the fact that the internet is now such a stable platform. But back then it was certainly like the center point of multiplayer gaming for en masse, like for people who used to get together. I remember people used to have LAN parties. I don't know if people still do that. I mean, it probably still happens because there's still capability. But mainly just probably between like friends and stuff instead of actually like doing tournaments and stuff. But anyway, Doom was one of the ones to pave it. I think we've all played Doom, and its impact on the culture as well. We've got, I think, movies from it. Was The Rock in the Doom movie?
We've had 2 movies, I think, if I'm thinking right. But
yeah,
Doom itself as a game, it was so much more in the gaming world than just an FPS. Because it was also the bridge from the earlier kind of 2.5D Wolfenstein and Quake. So it sort of created this bridge, and it also highlighted the need for graphics cards being a thing, really. So research and development for graphics cards actually shot up after Doom, purely because of Doom. So a lot of today's games can actually consider Doom its grandfather, because they wouldn't exist otherwise.
Yeah. Definitely. I think a lot of it's modelled off of Doom. I mean, yeah, it was... well, actually, no, to be fair, there was the predecessor. What was it?
You had Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein, that's it, yeah.
The one before that, but that was 2.5D. Like, it used TD, 2D, but in like a special...
Three-dimensional, yeah.
Made it kind of look three-dimensional. But you were still kind of guided a bit in that one, I think. But yeah, to me that's a mad thing, because like we were there like playing Doom and stuff on my mate's laptop in the dormitory at school. I mean, Christ, it is such a iconic game.
It was.
I can't wait, honestly. Like for
plus, I mean, me personally, I knew as well. I know you're a big fan, but that track from like Doom Eternal, like I forgot the name of it. It's such a badass riff. The one was like down, 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 down. That was
June, PH, big time fat.
Yeah, it's such a sick riff. Like I put it in the car. Like I actually stopped playing it in the car recently because I realized I was like going like 120 kilometers an hour. Like, and I was like, okay, calm down, because it's such a tune. But yeah, like the music from the latest Dooms as well. Actually, I must admit I don't really play the latest Dooms, not because I don't like them, but I just generally don't play FPS games that much anymore, unless I'm playing with friends or something. But I do.
I think, if I'm honest, the current Dooms, they kind of remind me more of just a really updated graphically like Quake Arena. Like everything's so fast paced and you're like bouncing around the whole screen.
Yeah, I mean,
but the original Doom, you were marching around. You were the one-man wrecking crew.
Yeah,
it just it felt different.
Definitely. Okay, so
when you got the BFG,
yeah,
don't forget that. Damn.
Yeah,
the big friendly.
The BFG, yeah, the big friendly gun, yeah. All right, so let's move on then to the fact 4. I think this one's going to be sort of something everyone's going to be familiar with, which is the PlayStation 2 still remains the best-selling gaming console of all time, with over 155 million units sold worldwide. That's a crazy amount of sold consoles. I mean, the PS2 though really was like one of the golden eras of gaming. I mean, it was like early 2000s kind of. PS2 had like it was just in the moment. The technology of gaming was at that pivotal point where we were starting to get somewhere graphically, but also it wasn't taking like 5 years to develop a AAA game. So the story, the graphics all kind of came together to have this golden era where games were just like perfect. I mean, you could say obviously like AAA games now are perfect, but back then it was just like the time frame they were able to put out games in a short period of time. There was so many options, so many great stories. What do you think about the PS2 though, like in general?
Right, the time it came out was perfect, because if you really think about it, a lot of things kind of fell in place, didn't they? Because it was only a few years after DVD players really became a big thing in the home. DVDs were like the media of the time. PlayStation 2 had backwards compatibility. I mean, Jesus, it had a huge library from day one because of that. All people could mess around on their classics from PS1. So you had like people playing Crash Bandicoot, Gran Turismo, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy 7, obviously.
I mean, it wasn't just that though. It was also the fact that, I know this sounds crazy to probably a lot of people in today's world. Any young people that watch the stream will be thinking that that's an absurd thing, but it was a DVD player, and I know DVDs are not even able to, obviously we watch Blu-rays, and a lot of people probably don't even watch them anymore. But like,
it was a home entertainment system.
Yeah, but that was a massive big deal, because DVD players were actually expensive in the early 2000s. Like getting one with your console was like an absolute win. It's like, oh, I can play my favorite games and I can watch DVDs without having to drop like 18 to 100 quid on a DVD player. So,
which is quite ironic though, because there was one piece of tech that they did neglect to include in the earliest like version of the console, is they didn't have the inbuilt network card. You had to buy that separately and plug it in.
Was there
only when the PS2 Slim had one built in, and then the later version after that had it.
Yeah, but wasn't that because they didn't really have anything to play on network back in the beginning?
No, they had a slot for it.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It was just a.
Was it meant to be storage though? There was
console DLC.
Yeah, but I'm sure that it was designed originally for extra storage or something, and then they just found they made the network adapter as another thing.
Maybe they realised their faux pas. Yeah, maybe we should put this online.
Yeah, but I mean, its significance in the industry is really like, insurmountable versus like other. Obviously, Nintendo, has a really big set. Especially the earlier consoles during the 16-bit era. But like, I think the PS2 is like definitive of the 2000 era. You got the PS1, you've got like the SNES and all these kind of games, and the NES before that, all these like big iconic consoles. And I think like PS2 was like in that era was like the number one. It
allowed for massive graphical jumps as well. I mean, we had like obviously Gran Turismo 3, where they started literally having like special weather effects and the things actually started looking good on screen, like really good.
Yeah. Towards the end, certainly towards the end.
Burnout, the crash effects in Burnout, you wouldn't have those on PS1. No chance.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
And you had what was it called? Demolition Derby on PS1, but that was very much.
That was a great game.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game.
There's some good memories of playing that. Like, I think we played that quite a bit back in the day. Yeah, Psygnosis. God, that's going back a bit. So PS2 really was just like a tour de force in that period. I think it's well deserved that it's sold that many copies. It's a good one to end on the segment with. I know a lot of people are still very enthusiastic about the console even now, and doing speed runs, and people like working on creating like portable PS2s and stuff like that, and all that kind of stuff. People still working on doing those kind of things on a regular basis, so it's still very much in popular culture today. Okay, well, that ends segment 2. I was just thinking we've only finished segment 2, and we're already over half an hour in. So obviously still a lot more to come. We're now going to be embarking on segment 3, which is one of my personal favourites. It's really just a chance for myself and Kraken to just reminisce on some of our personal gaming experiences. We were best friends. Well, we were friends when we met at school. And obviously we've known each other for many years. So we obviously wanted to just look back at a couple of like choice memories of experiences, and just remember those times from our youth and have a laugh about them. The first anecdote we're going to look at is Final Fantasy VII. And yeah, I'll let Kraken tell a story because it's really like a classic. So yeah, let's
yeah, because you didn't see like the build up to this, obviously, because I'd just been around your house in the holiday, I think, and we played Final Fantasy VII, and obviously I got it when I got home. But I also had one of those Game Shark thing with cheat codes, and it unlocked that Knights of the Round, the last that you can get, that you have to do all sorts of crazy stuff for. Like, you got to breed a Chocobo up to like golden level or something, don't you? So it can go over any terrain. Then you find the cave and fight them or something.
Yeah, but you didn't do any of that. You did none of that shit.
No, none of that. I'm a cheat.
Cheated your ass, man. I remember thinking, like, what the hell are you talking about as well? Because I'd only been playing the game for like a day or something. And you're like, dude, you've just gone straight about sod that. I'm not doing any of that.
Dude, I was so excited because I was literally like, I rang you up over the phone, so you couldn't even see what was going on the screen. And all you could hear was these sounds going.
Yeah,
like, all this going on. And he was like, "What the hell's that?" And I'm like, "It's Night of the Round. It's Night of the Round."
And this is just showing how old we are, because this is what we had to do back in the day. We didn't have like FaceTime. Like Kraken had to like literally ring me on a conventional telephone and play the sound of Knights of the Round happening down the phone. And also, just for the record, like, he might have been like, "Listen to this," and of course, Knights of the Round, there's loads of banging and clattering, but because it was a conventional phone, and we're talking about like, I don't know, late 90s here, like, it was just, on my end, it was just like I was just like, okay, that sounds great, but I have no idea what's going on. And that's just the excitement that you had as a young kid, you know. It just didn't translate well though to like the technology at the time just couldn't handle it.
I didn't care. I was just having fun.
Also, I had no idea what you were talking about. It was like, I do Knights of the Round. I was like, I've been playing the game for one day, and you went out and got it and was just like, yeah, Game Genie or whatever, like Knights of the Round, like straight. As soon as you'd walked out of the first part of the game, you've got like the best summon in the entire game, and you're just like murdering. Like a Shinra soldier comes out and it's like, press thing to attack. Sod that limit, like go straight to summons and summon Knights of the Round and kill him with that. Overkill to the max.
The HP gets
absolutely gets his cheeks clapped. Yeah. That's just so absurd. But yeah, that was a good memory. I remember that very clearly. It was very funny. Yeah, it's a very good example of the limitations of technology at the time. The next one we're going to look at is another good memory of us when we were, again, I think, teenagers. And we were like, we want to play a game together, and you know, conventionally you used to have like, you know, the lounge co-op or whatever, but there was stuff that had that, but there was this specific game that me and Kraken loved, which was Command and Conquer, Red Alert, I think it was, and you couldn't play that in a multiplayer aspect, but there was one way to do it, which was like with PlayStation Link. Now, let me just explain the absurdity of this, because it required 2 CRT televisions. Now, for anyone that doesn't know or hasn't ever had to use a CRTV, trust me, these things were like massive, gigantic bricks that were like required like a weight, you know, it was like weightlifting moving those things around. Yeah. And we didn't have the room as well to do that, so we had to like balance them on the bed. Like these 2 massive CRT monitors that were like they were like at an angle, because they were so heavy, they were like sitting into the bed, so they literally like melted into the bed at like a sort of like 20-degree angle, and we were like plugging in this PlayStation Link across 2 single beds across the room, and just imagine it was complete absurdity. I wish I'd taken a picture of it, because it was so ridiculous. There was like these wires everywhere, and we're playing CNC, like, you know, PS Link up, and we were literally sat there with 2 PlayStations, 2 CRT monitors, a PS Link.
Leaning on each side of the bed, with them leaning against each other in the middle. The TVs literally using ech other's weight to stay upright.
Yeah, it was just absurd. Like, anyone seen that today would just be like laughing their head off, because it was that ridiculous. But we would play Command & Conquer. Now, this is the other bit, right? Because we were talking about the PS1, which, let's be honest, by today's standards, very limited in technological capability. And of course, Kraken's first plan was, let's play like a skirmish. And I was like, yeah, cool. And what does Kraken do? He builds like 400 billion mammoth tanks in his base and like basically crashes the game. just running at like 1 frame per second. I was like, dude, this is not fun. And he was like, yeah, I know, but I want to see how many I could build. And I was like, yeah, you built like the maximum mammoth tanks possible, because now it's like unplayable. It was fun for you. Sat there. I was like, I think I went away at one point to like make a cup of tea or something, because it was like 1 frame per second, because the PS1 just shit the bed completely. It was like, nah, not handling this. But that really tells you how far we've come in technology as well. Like, if you did that to anyone in today's world, I think they would literally lose their mind, because everything's like snappy. It's got to happen now, and that was it. We also played like the original Armored Core. For anyone that's played like the From Software version, which is still obviously very popular today, we played the original like Armored Core over PS1 Link as well, which was fun. I mean, the only thing you could do is PvP, so it was just like me and Kraken like making robot builds in a very similar fashion, just much more simpler. But we basically did the same thing. It was a good laugh. It was a good laugh. But yeah, I don't recommend it, by the way. Anyone sitting there going, oh, I'm going to get PlayStation, do some... No, don't do that. Trust me.
I fully recommend it. It is an experience. Give it a shot.
Yeah, but anyone then not noticing that is like heavy sarcasm. Trust me, like, do not do that.
No, it wasn't. But you may have to go to like some charity shop or some antique collector's place to find those TVs. So yeah, good luck.
Well, I mean, yeah. To be honest, you could probably find a modern thing with an RF link adapter, and that would work fine in a modern television. But I'd be more about finding a PS Link cable would probably be a lot harder. I don't even know if those exist anymore.
Yeah, it's tricky, but I'm sure it's possible. There's probably someone selling them on eBay. Who knows?
Yeah, true. Hi, Citrine B. I think that's my girlfriend, by the way. He's just said hi. Hi, love you. So yeah, but anyway, let's move on to the next anecdote, which is Monster Rancher. We did mention this in the last podcast, but Kraken wanted to just do a once over on it again because it was funny. There was a game on PS1 back in the day.
Talking about cool gaming moments from our past, and this was one of them. Let's be fair.
It was funny. It was funny.
Having carry all those CDs up the stairs, and I mean, come on.
It was absurd. Like, also it pissed off my parents big time because we took their like 400 CDs or whatever it was all the way upstairs to my room and loaded every last one of them into the PlayStation to try and get as much as we could out of this Monster Rancher game, trying to get like a perfect monster out of it. The funny thing is, I remember it being from a George Michael CD, which was quite funny.
And
it was, I think it was the Faith CD, which I found really funny at the time because I was like, oh, I put that in. It was like, you know, you got to have faith on it, and then I got like a really good monster from it. So I was like, okay, fair enough. George Michael's the man. So yeah, that's what got me like one of the best S-Class, whatever it was. I can't remember. It was a long time since I played it, but it was funny.
I think, wasn't it?
Huh?
Was it a yellow dragon?
Oh man, now you're asking me. I'm going back like
getting that weird one eyeball with the weird sort of tail on it.
Yeah, I don't recall, man. It was like 20 plus years ago, so I don't recall. But look, you know, anyone out there that's listening, that's enjoyed this reminiscing of over a couple of anecdotes, we'd love to hear what your gaming memories are as well. And you know, if you want to let us know, or either put it in the comments and hashtag Ctrl+Alt+Debate memories, or put it out in there on social media or any other areas you want to do, and we'll find it. But yeah, like it was some great memories. We'll revisit this if we have like other ones. We've got plenty of them. We just picked those 3, so we can always look at that.
Do a biggest gaming disappointment segment in the future.
Biggest gaming disappointment feature.
Yeah, because but for me, Total number 1.
Oh yeah, that's another one. There we go. That yeah. Tobal number 1. God damn, that brings up that's PTSD right there. Yeah. We'll definitely cover that on another episode. If not, though, I think we can wrap up the trip down memory lane on that one though, and then move on to the segment 4, which is the Gacha Gamble Roll for Loot. So obviously, just for anyone out there who doesn't, I mean, I've seen most people that will be watching that know about Gacha is just literally a loot gambling sort of scheme that basically when people spend money or they collect certain items that they can then use to spend on a randomizer that gives gives the player some sort of either a character that they want to get, and they have them in rarities, or it can be weapons or armor or any sort of collectible feature in the game, and you spend normally real money to purchase the materials to then spend on trying to get something that you want. Just for people that don't know what that is, and we're going to be looking at the good, the bad, and ethics in general with this.
God knows I have a seething hatred for gacha.
Yeah, so let's get your take first, buddy. Just give us your overview of what you think about gacha, and then I'll give my say on it. But I'm interested to see what your view is in its entirety.
In its essence, in a game that is not an online one, that is using real life money to win something that, let's be honest, in a lot of these games, and the vast majority of these games, you require one of these rare items in order to progress further in the game. So it's not just a FOMO, it's holding your account hostage until you're willing to part with cash to get yourself past a point. I do not like it. It is gambling, and it's just it is the vast majority of mobile games. I've got to be honest. It's the vast majority of them. They absolutely abuse the hell out of it. You've got people out there at the moment, and ourselves included, I think like 60, 70 quid for a game at the moment. It's let's say it's a bit of a sting, but at the same time, if it's a AAA title, it's understandable, it's expected. But then there are people on these gacha games that they fall into a bit of a trap, don't they? And they spend thousands of pounds per month on a game, and all they're getting is a chance at a digital item that can help them in the game. And that to me is, as a premise, is horrendous. It is absolutely predatory as all hell, and it really needs to be policed in some manner, because these games, they just get away with it. I mean, it's sure it's a crap ton of money for the industry, but not the right section of the industry in my book. But yeah, that's my sort of short take on it.
No, I think actually I agree with a lot of what you say, and as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, that both myself and Kraken played a game. I think we can mention it. I don't think we're going to get DMCA claimed for it, but I mean, Watcher of Realms is a mobile game that we played together. I still play it because I've invested quite a bit in it over time. My counter to, well, not really, it's not so much to speak a counter. It's more about, like, if you have expendable income, I think gacha games are all right, because you it's when you spend beyond your means. If you're like digging into credit and other things where you don't have the expendable income to spend it, like, that's dangerous for people. It can cause them to have financial problems. That's why I say predatory. It's terrible. Yeah, I think it doesn't obviously have effect on people that are like whales or people that have quite a lot of expendable income, because they're not gonna like cause themselves financial problems. Is it a waste of money? I mean, that's subjective, depending, subjective rather, depending on your view of what you think a waste of money is. Like, some people would definitely say it's a waste of money because you're buying like virtual sprites. But if it gives you enjoyment, who's to really determine, whether it's a waste or not?
For me, Watcher of Realms, the one thing that bugged me the most is it is a really well created game. It would work as a proper, PC or console title without that real money gacha thing. Like, they could have an endless mode to earn coins to run the gacha, that'd be fine. But my issue comes from points in the game where it is blatantly obvious that the characters that are being put in the gacha are required really to make a section of the game actually possible. And that is, I'm sorry, that's what bugs the crap out of me. It is predatory. Regardless of whether the people are willing to pass the money over, they're still paying for something that are effectively being told, you gotta have this. I have no qualms with people selling skins and stuff, and that's fine, because it has no real effect on the gameplay. But in terms of an actual character that is built in a manner that deliberately makes a level actually defeatable, I think is disgusting. It is a horrendous way to do business. I mean, a lot of people get away with it, and a lot of people ignore it and carry on, and that's fine. And if they're enjoying themselves, more power to them. but I just still think as a premise, on a moral standpoint, I think it's incredibly disgusting.
Well, just actually, obviously as a connecting point to this, as you know, I like work actually in gambling. So I agree with you. Like, I think the mobile market is unregulated to hell. Like, it's an absolute mess, and there needs to be
You guys have massive restrictions, don't you, in the gambling market?
Oh well, yeah, big time. Like, yeah, absolutely. KYC and all that kind of stuff, like checks that need to be made to make sure people are not spending beyond their means. Mobile market has none of that. It's just the Wild West. Like, people can just rob you till you've literally till you've got to remortgage your house. There's nothing in place.
Let's be fair, these are bleeding onto PC as well. Like, you can find some of the titles in the Google Play Store, but you'll also see them on Steam now, and that's disturbing to me, because I think there is a point where, unfortunately, if you look at Google Play Store, it's overrun, and it is gacha. The vast majority of the games are gacha in some respect,
or some variation of it.
Whether it's a character or whether it's winning lives or whatever, they are implementing some gacha level in there. And if this does bleed too much into modern day games, it'll slowly become acceptable to have that in AAA titles. And I'm not talking in 5 or 10 years; it could be in 20 or 30 years. But
well, they've already done that. What do you I mean,
but I mean, in terms of it being a normal, commonplace thing.
Well, it is.
I don't mean.
Oh, okay, but. Well, yeah, but I mean, you've already got all of the mobile games transposing to console, like Genshin Impact and what's that other one? Honkai Rail or whatever it is. These kind of games.
The only thing about them is I don't think their gacha really affects the gameplay, does it?
Yeah, Genshin Impact definitely does. I mean,
definitely?
literally, it's like literally rolling, trying to get the best heroes and stuff like that. They give you the gold tier and all that kind of stuff. And plus, it's just an addiction. Like, really, it doesn't really matter. Sometimes it doesn't need to necessarily give you an advantage. It's just, it becomes an addiction of wanting to have something, so badly. So
looks cool.
Yeah, so you can show off, or you just get addicted to collecting things. It's like people collect, Pokemon cards or whatever. Like, people, if you get addicted to collecting things, I mean, Watch of Realms, I don't mind stating the fact that I feel like I've invested too much in it to really quit. I would feel like deeply upset to walk away from something that I've put that much time into.
That's the annoying thing, because for my income level at the time, I believed that I had invested a fair amount that was painful for me to walk away as well. And it pained me because I thought the game was so great. It's just that gacha part of it utterly just stained the whole thing for me.
Yeah. I can see I can see my girlfriend has mentioned the game. She puts the game should be playable to the desired standard in spite of available purchases. Why does it have to be more difficult without? I mean, that's the whole point, isn't it? Very good point.
100% on point. Yeah.
I mean, but that's literally the purpose, though. Like, that's the reason they do it, is they've designed it in that manner so that you're forced to basically spend money down to frustration, because you collect 200 gems and then suddenly you've got you need another 200 gems, and the only way to do it immediately is to spend money. So it's designed.
And 6 months saving every single daily reward you have to be able to do it.
But that's literally the predatory behaviors that Kraken was talking about. So if you literally, are you asking from a genuine standpoint? Because realistically, there is no genuine reasoning. It's just literally predatory behavior designed to make people spend money. That's the whole purpose. They've done that with intent. So it's like they've done it with the idea that these people need to spend money so they can get what they need to be able to finish something that they can't do. So it's definitely with intent from the company. But
and if you look at a lot of these as well, the way they label the characters, like common, rare, super rare, ultra rare, like S tier, these are all deliberate ways of making a person understand that they need these top ones, because otherwise it'll be a really rough time getting further in the game. And in the past, I remember there were games that gave away a free S tier character, but when you pit them side by side, a paid S tier character, they were not even S tier at all. They were effectively the same power as a rare, one step above common. And it's pathetic, because they just color it that way, so it makes you think, oh, I'm getting something for this.
No, you're not.
It's you're not, bro.
You're
not.
Yeah.
They know exactly what they're doing. They are literally pulling it out of your pocket.
The thing is, and I have to be one of those people as well that just say that I continue to play despite those facts, because I enjoy the game. And
No, that's fair enough.
you
If
know,
it's not hurting you in any way, it's not a problem.
yeah,
But
I think, but it does hurt. I still agree with you.
term,
Yeah, I still think it affects a lot of people, and that's why I think it should be regulated and more looked after, because it does damage long term. Okay, well, let's move on. Before we move on, though, if anyone has been listening to this conversation, has something they have a personal experience with gacha games, we'd love to hear your views on that. So feel free to drop a comment in the chat and let us know. We'll be monitoring the comments even post live release. So please share your views with us. That leads us to the final segment for today, which is Backseat Gamers Agree to Disagree, which is basically us looking over some hot takes in the industry, in gaming in general, and we'll be giving our own personal viewpoint on that. So let's debate some of the most controversial takes without hopefully raging on any major points. So the first one we're going to look at, this is a real hot point for me as well, is the best graphics don't always make the game. This is a hot take, I think, because a lot of people have varying views on this. But what do you think about that? Do graphics make better games?
If I'm brutally honest, I don't think it's such a hot take, because I think it's got to be about 50-50, isn't it, really? Like, there's going to be some graphics whores out there, but at the same time, there are people that want the mechanics, they want the gameplay. It's a tough one, because I believe that a lot of the time, some of these companies, they go quite hard to try and achieve these amazing graphics, but they put in these settings afterwards, don't they? Like the preset, whether it's low, medium, or high. And obviously everyone wants to play it high, but most PCs out there, let's be honest, we know that after a few years you need a couple of upgrades to be able to keep tapping that high button. But they forget about the lower ends, and things don't get what do you call it? They don't get organized properly, and it can ruin games when they just go for the graphics, because they forget about the rest. They forget about the mechanics. They forget about the gameplay. And there are some games that we mentioned earlier, Elden Ring, that do it right. They had the beautiful graphics. It was optimized incredibly well. Like my laptop's not amazing, and it still played it smooth as hell on high. And yet everything looked brilliant, and the gameplay mechanics were fantastic. So they did both.
Yeah,
more kudos to them. But yeah.
But I mean, my take on it is I am one of those people like that falls in between as well. Like it really depends. The problem, actually, I would say that the graphics are actually taking a center point in most AAA titles, to the point where big studios are spending huge amounts of budgets making the graphics like otherworldly, and unfortunately, the actual game itself like tends to suffer because they've. I mean, it's more about the people like having such grand schemes for games, and they're so grand that they end up not being able to like make the game actually playable because it's just so intense on graphics and the way the game looks and everything. I don't think that's necessary. I think there's like a medium level, like where I've played like a game that looks okay graphically, it looks decent. I'm quite happy with that, as so long as the corresponding story. And I've played some indie games as well. I don't play a lot of indie games, but I've played some where I've just played through the entire game and I've done everything and I've loved it. It really depends on like how well the story's done. So graphics are important to a degree, but the story, mechanics, and the gameplay will always supersede. But I do feel like there are some people that are just obsessed with graphics, like and they won't play a game unless it's like graphically finessed. And if people like, especially PC gamers, I don't want to be rude, but PC gamers tend to be the worst culprits for this, because they're like trying to like, I've got an amazing rig and I need this game to like output at 4K at like 600 frames per second, and like all of this stuff. And sometimes I don't know if it's just because they just want to test their PC to the max, but they tend to want to have like a graphically like intense game to be able to put their PC through the paces. And it seems to lose the whole point of the game,
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of these PCs that they make to play these games, and they put all those fancy lights on them and everything to make it look cool, and it's effectively, a lot of these people, I'm sure it's like, car mods, just making it look cool because you want it to be as cool as possible. There's this sort of psychological, I've got to have the best after you've spent that much money. You know what I mean? And you get really genuinely disappointed after doing an upgrade, and it's not enough. But at least your case is nice and bright and colourful.
Yeah.
It's it's quite funny because I do get it. Like, you want things to look nice, obviously, but if a game's gameplay is solid, then the graphics don't really matter.
Well,
that much.
it's more about like squandering or like suppressing innovation and creativity just to make things look shiny, which I don't think should ever take the front seat. Like, I always would rather have a game with charm and like something that's relatable over and above like insane graphics. Like, I just think that maybe it's not such a hot take as you said. Maybe it's just, but I know that it's out there, and there's definitely people that have that. If anyone is out there that's like, literally, I won't play anything unless it's graphically sound, I want to hear from you. I want to hear why you only want to play graphically sound games, and you know, obviously you want to have all the other things with it as well, but sometimes it's like you know, in my opinion, you miss out on excellent games that have like loads of charm, but they just don't have the graphics. But I want to hear anyone that's got that take on needing to have graphics at a certain quality. Okay, let's move on to the next unpopular opinion. Gaming community is too harsh on game developers. Now, this is again a contrasting viewpoint, and I happen to definitely think this is the case. People are just, obviously there's a lot of people raging, but it's like some small thing happens and the entire community takes a shit on them. I hate this. Like, I think it's just...
I mean, Jesus Christ, there've been death threats.
Yeah,
like actual death threats sent en masse to studios. I mean, for crying out loud, it's a game for one. Like, you're supposed to enjoy it, but if you don't, it's really not worth getting yourself locked up for, is it?
No, definitely not. I mean, I think it's absurd. All I can say about
I think it's born from people being spoiled these days. We get so much choice that when it comes to something that's close to what would be perfect for us, people lose their minds if it doesn't meet that expectation.
It's just entitlement. It's just plain and simple entitlement. It's like someone's, we're gonna delay the game for like another month to polish it. Most like sane people would be like, oh, that's great, I want the game to be like, obviously I'm really hyped about Monster Hunter Wilds, right? But if let's just say Capcom said the game's not ready, we're gonna delay it another 3 months, I reckon like there would be insanity. Like, people would lose their fucking shit, because for some people Monster Hunter Wilds coming out is literally better than their own child being born. Some of people are so fanatical about this game. I mean, I'm a big fan, by the way, before anyone like takes a shit on me, but
there are. I did see someone who made a fairly good reason for being pissed off. I mean, obviously not death threat level, granted, but he still had a very good reason for being pissed off, because he only had a week's holiday left.
Oh yeah, that's
And then and he literally had it booked off, and it got pulled last freaking minute, like on the day. It was actually like, we're really sorry, but we got to push it back a month or two. And he was like, what the actual shit? Like, I've booked, this is my last my time off this year.
Even then, though, I still don't think that's reason to like go doing death threats on or even going to game developers. But I got my holidays ruined. It's like, you're one person. Like, have some perspective. Like, okay, your holiday's been screwed, but you take the first day and then just cancel the rest of the holiday. Go back to work. I mean,
go for a walk.
It's not the end of the world. Like, keep things in reasoned perspective.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd be pissed.
I can understand.
I'd be pissed as well.
Jesus Christ.
I'd be pissed as well. I'd be like, I really want to play that game, and I took a week off to play it with my friends, and then suddenly this rug pulled, I would be upset as well. But just calmer minds should prevail in these situations, like, rather than just again absolutely ape shit and just threatening to kill people over it is insane. It's literally deranged. It's unhinged, man. As
everyone says, it always works when you just tell them to calm down.
Yeah, that's normally worse, right? Yeah, they flip out. Don't tell me to calm down. And then they just like go ape shit. But well, the next point is also something that I'm gonna have a heavy So gaming difficulty mode should be standardized for accessibility. Ugh, like I hate this personally. I'm gonna have a say on this because this is probably one point that I genuinely am very strong about. They should not be normalized. No one has an entitlement to a game. A game is developed by a studio. The studio has a vision. The vision is released for people to consume. That does not mean everyone has the right to have it exactly how they want it. Should all games have difficulties? I mean, it would make it more accessible. Should they have to by like definitively? No, they shouldn't. If someone's got a vision like From Software do, they don't put difficulties in their games, and they will never do it, and they've said so as well, and yet people persist. It's just like, give it up. They're not going to do it. They've got their demographic of players.
Yeah, exactly. Like the earlier Souls games, like I paid for them, and one of them I didn't even get past the first boss. I was that bad. But
which one?
I can't remember. It's so long ago. No. But let me be clear though.
I bet it's Dark Souls 1. I bet it's Dark Souls 1.
Hold up. Maybe. But I never asked for a refund because I couldn't play the bloody game. To me, the studio won, but it was a legitimate gamble on my part because I already knew that the game was hard. Right?
Well, yeah, I mean, literally, the first one was called like... It was like Prepare to Die edition.
Prepare to Die edition. Yes, that was the edition that I bought. So I knew from step one, like the box said, Prepare to Die. And I did, a lot. And I got annoyed, and I put the controller down. I was like, you know what? This one is not for me. This one is not for me. But I didn't go online and have...
I think we're gonna do a whole series of every From Software game that we're gonna have you play it. Whilst I watch and laugh, because that's going to be just.
Yeah, but I have to play that the first Berserker one, whatever. I don't care. It's not for me, but I don't care. It still looks insane, and even if it's rock solid, as you say, I think I'd have fun losing.
Well, that's one we can look at as well, because I think that'll be entertaining. Yeah. It's going to be great. I mean, but yeah, like I'm glad that you agree though, because. This would have been a fiery point for me because I just genuinely cannot get on the side of people that are like demanding. Like it's okay to say I would prefer it.
With purpose, you're breaking the purpose of the game by just adding easy.
But it's the way that like if someone came on a chat and was just like, I would prefer it if Elden Ring had difficulty. Fine, okay, you would prefer that. That's your preference, right? When you start demanding it, that's where I get a problem. It's like you do not have the power or the position to demand anything. These games are designed to appeal to a certain demographic of player that the people that created it wanted to satiate. Like, that's it. Just accept it. Go if you've got a problem with it, go play whatever it is you want to play. And stick to those games that are good for you. You're not entitled to every game fitting into your personal needs.
You don't walk into a comedy movie and then come out demanding that it's a horror. Like you knew what you were walking into.
Exactly, right? I mean, that's the mentality. I just don't understand it. I will never understand that point. And this particular point always like really gets my goat because it's just I don't understand the mentality of demanding something. Everything needs to cater to you. It's just not the way the world works, and the sooner people like get their heads around that, the sooner we can all get on and enjoy our games without having to have constant these kind of like pressure against developers to have to include this, like people making them feel bad about it. Just leave them alone, just go play another game. I know you like Elden Ring. Elden Ring looks great, but I'm not good enough to play it. Okay, well go watch someone else play it on Twitch if it's just that. If you can't deal with the difficulty, then watch someone else play it. Or play something else, or get a mod. If it's that bad, go download a mod. I'm sure someone did like a difficulty mod. Yeah, use that.
And they probably also changed all the monsters to daisies walking around.
Oh no, just go get. Like honestly, like if individually, go get an invulnerability cheat, and then you don't have to worry about difficulty anymore. Like just leave everyone else to play it the way they want to play it. You know. Anyway,
because I think their only real argument is that they want to be able to see and play through the story, and it's like, yeah, cool, but if you want to play it as it's meant to be played, then that's how it's meant to be played. You don't get to choose how you play it if it's only really going to be playable in that way. Yeah, like true. Prepare to Die edition was exactly what it said.
Go in there. So we buy a game that's got like Prepare to Die edition, and they go in and they die like 10. We're like, I'm not happy with this. What's this? This is impossible. It's like, well, did you read the box? Or... Have you gone a temporary blindness?
I was like, when I put it down, I was like, fair play. Like,
yeah, exactly. Why? I'm going to play something else. Fine, I'm okay with that as long as you don't go back to the store and be like, can you imagine them going, I'm returning this game, I was dying constantly. The guy picks up the box, it's got Prepare to Die edition on it, and be like, really? Okay. Yeah.
It's all for a stroll.
Yeah. It's a bit absurd. All right, the last one we've got on here is, this is one that you wanted to talk about, which is AI for game creation can be more of a hindrance than a help. So I think this is. I'll leave the floor to you because obviously I want you to expand on this. And,
okay, well, obviously with how AI is developing at the moment, it's a real trigger point for a lot of people, artists especially. Right now, AI in game creation. If you've noticed, a lot of time when you ask different questions on AI, it starts going in a bit of a loop, doesn't it? So you're going to start getting all these like weird copies, but not copies of games that are all being churned out by some AI that's just been taught how to code and 3D program stuff. I mean, it's kind of mad. I think it could be a help to speed up the process, but at the same time, I think a lot of people are going to lose their bloody jobs because of it.
Yeah, I mean, AI is like one of those things that I think is really useful, but I also think it will make people lazy, and it erodes at creativity and, you know, like imagination and all of these things that, I mean, that people utilize to make amazing games. I think AI is going to be, as you said, like starting to encroach into those, like where you won't even need to have an imagination or creativity anymore because AI can do that part for you. You just need to flesh out the finer details. I mean, as you said, it's just slowly coming into the market now for like gaming and stuff. I still think it'll be a while before it can create anything significant. But
I think a sign of a great game studio is that they can be proud of what they've put out, right? And an artist, when they finish a painting or a drawing or a sculpture, they feel proud of what they've accomplished, of what they've crafted. None of these games could be anything that a proper games company should ever be proud of, because it's just feeding it from a library and it's churning this stuff out with a few prompts. Like a person who goes on an AI image creation tool, they're not proud of what they've created, or they bloody well shouldn't be. But it does it for you. Like, you're just saying what you want, and it's like, okay, here you go. Like, you don't go to a bar, ask for a beer, and then are proud of yourself because you got a beer in your hand. That'd be ridiculous, wouldn't it? You've asked for it, so you were given it. It's just insane. Like, I feel games companies are going to lose pride, and we're going to, it's just going to be a bunch of
on the cross side though, it will speed up processes, which means that we get games quicker. Like, especially like for menial tasks.
Not others.
Yeah, but there's some menial tasks that would take a designer like a month to do. They can get AI to do like 90% of them.
That's the whole point. That's literally the whole point being made, because yes, that designer may take a month, but that designer is a human being that actually took time and creativity to design something, whereas an AI does it in 60 seconds or less, and it's just picked pieces and bits from all the stuff that it's been fed. So it's not creativity in the truest sense. So there will be a massive net loss across the board in any company that allows AI into their creativity department. Even storyline. Like, I mean, yeah, it makes some cool stories, but they're not thought of and dreamt up by a real person. So, I don't know. It's just, it feels like to me, like, I mean, formulaic would be the word, wouldn't it? Like, everything would be just literally sprouting out of some little formula inputted into a computer. And I just think that's madness.
Yeah, it is pretty insane.
Games would lose their heart completely. If you allow it anywhere near the creativity, god damn it. You shouldn't be in the gaming industry if that's what you allow.
I mean, I don't really know where we're going to go with it. It's like a kind of like a projection on what's going to happen, but I think creativity should always and will hopefully prevail, because human spirit is too strong for AI to ever fully take over. I think the human spirit and the ability for human beings to be able to create imagination stuff, are never going to reach the same level as AI, because AI is always going to be formulaic, and humans are not formulaic in a lot of ways. They're unpredictable in how they come around with ideas. So I think we're always going to have an element of human thought going into everything that's done. I just think that AI will be like the people that fill in the gaps that are just like less important. So it will be like 20% done with creativity, and then it will be like AI fill in the gaps on things, rather than, so the idea will be like designed by a human, and then AI will like fill out some of the less important parts, the bits that they don't want to do. Or
if it's allowed too far in, some producer can literally just sit at his desk and tell it what game it wants, and it can spit it out.
Yeah, I mean, but this is projection. Like, I don't know if that's going to ever happen. If it does, then yeah, that's going to be terrible, because then there'll be like no creativity ever again.
EA are actually working on an AI game creation platform where I'm sure it'll obviously be a subscription service with various levels depending on what sort of assets you want to be allowed in your game. But you can literally tell it to create a game of your choice, and it will do that. Like, it created in the demonstration a fully sort of 3D world that was made up of cardboard boxes, and it was a shoot 'em up, and they had a little deathmatch on screen running. Yeah. And it was madness. Like, it took a couple minutes. I mean, if this is how games are going to be made in the future, then you know damn well they're going to be surgical, aren't they? Aimed at very specific groups. Or that group plays more time than this lot. So we have games thrown out that are all pretty much the same.
I mean, to be fair though, if you could apply ChatGPT, like people are still out there in jobs doing creative work, even though ChatGPT can do a lot of it. So people obviously still value human thought and human design over and above ChatGPT.
AI can be a great help.
Yeah, I see it be more of an assistance. Like, that's how I see it, and I think it will be the same in like gaming or any other like platform that we do. Like, I don't think I mean, there will be people that will be like, make a game for me, but I don't think it's ever going to be like a AAA amazing thing, because I just think that humans have a better chance of making something that's going to be like en masse a great game. But yeah, I think that's like wraps up today's podcast. I think we've had a lot to say. There's been a lot of points made. We hope if you've made it all the way to the end that you've thoroughly enjoyed the talking points that we've had and the topics that we've put forth. We would love to hear, obviously, on this thing, any of your personal hot takes that you would like us to discuss. Maybe
any suggestions?
Yeah, like if you've got any suggestions out there, like feel free to put them in the comments, and we'll consider them for future, because I think hot takes might be something that we'll be putting forward into the future. Yeah, and with that, we'd obviously just like to say, if you've enjoyed this podcast and you've enjoyed our prattling and talking about all of this, and it's been of interest, please feel free to subscribe to the channel or to follow us, and to give us a thumbs up, and obviously leave a comment to let us know that you've enjoyed it. Yeah, obviously that's a wrap really on Ctrl+Alt+Debate. Keep the peace, pixels, and power-ups.
Don't rage quit. We'll catch you on the next level.
Yeah, or until your controller gets more airtime than your gameplay.